Coming up in this video here on Saints Now by Chat Sports, we got some offseason rumors to discuss. PFF put out their perfect draft pick for the New Orleans Saints at number 8 overall. We're also going to get into a live Q&A with the Golden Gang. So we're going to be answering questions and hot takes in our live chat as a part of our weekly live shows every single Monday. If you want to be part of it in the future, make sure you join us. And question of the day. Trying to order my king cake. I don't live in New Orleans. I'm not from the city. So, bear with me. Cut me a little bit of slack. What's the best king cake in New Orleans? Where should I order my king cake from? Let me know down in the comment section and share your thoughts. All right, PFF. They put out an article putting out every perfect pick for every team. So all 32 teams, or I guess the Falcons don't have a first-round pick. But anyway, the perfect fit for the New Orleans Saints in round 1 of the NFL draft at number 8 overall. PFF said Arvell Reese, the linebacker, edge rusher, defensive, just weapon X, joker, whatever you want to call him. He just is a defensive freak of nature. That is who PFF thinks is a perfect fit for the New Orleans Saints. I also think that Arvell Reese would be a perfect fit for the New Orleans Saints. My one discrepancy is I'm not necessarily sold that Arvell Reese will be available at number 8 because I think a lot of teams are going to be desiring his services. Here's what PFF had to say about the Ohio State linebacker. The Saints produced the 10th worst team PFF pass rushing grade in the NFL this year. And star linebacker Demario Davis is 37 years old. Reese is an impressive downhill defender as his 8 sacks in 2025, tied for the 4th most among college football linebackers, and he logged in an 86.5 PFF run defense grade to boot. Reese could play either off-ball linebacker or on the ball as an edge defender for the New Orleans Saints. And that's one of the cool things about Arvell Reese is I don't think he's limited to just one position. I think if any team drafts him, you're going to get a guy who can drop back into coverage, he can rush the passer, he can stop the run, he can do whatever you want him to do. Arvell Reese is a prototypical defensive player that you want on your defense. Does not matter if you're picking first, doesn't matter if you're picking 32nd. Arvell Reese is a player that will be a game changer and game breaker for any team that takes him. And in 2025 for the Ohio State Buckeyes, he was a huge contributor. 69 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 23 pressures, 2 pass breakups, 10 tackles for a loss. He was really, really impressive as a linebacker, but also in coverage. He did some really impressive things too. 2 pass breakups, 189 yards allowed, 19 of 23 when targeted, 100.9 QB rating. I'm not necessarily going to hold that over his head. I think when it comes to the linebacker position, specifically for the New Orleans Saints, Arvell Reese could be a really excellent addition, and I don't think you necessarily need to shake up the linebacker room as a whole when you talk about New Orleans, because obviously you have Demario Davis. He isn't going anywhere unless he retires. I think the Saints are going to bring him back. He's expressed interest in returning. So you have Demario Davis. Let's just assume he returns. Pete Werner, decision to be made there. Do you cut him? Do you trade him? What do? You got to find a way to get Danny Stutzman on the field more often because he's been really, really electric in the limited sample size we've gotten to see him in. And I think that he is a very bright spot of the future of this Saints defense. But when you talk about Arvell Reese, you can incorporate him into the defensive scheme just by putting him wherever the hell you want him to. He is that talented of a player. He is that good of a prospect that it doesn't matter what you want him to do. He can just line up, strap up his helmet, and go make a play. And I doubt that Arvell Reese is going to be on the board at 8. Talking about the teams that pick before the Saints, I think the Titans would be interested. I think the Jets could be interested. I think that there's a lot of conversations around multiple teams wanting to potentially draft a player like Arvell Reese. And we can show you the top 10 right here. Shout out to Lopez. The Cardinals, definitely a team to look out for. Maybe not necessarily the Cardinals as much, but what if the Browns or the Commanders, what if they need some help? There's not going to be a lot of quarterbacks that get taken off the board. And with Dante Moore no longer in the mix here, that does make Arvell Reese's draft stock go up a little bit, and in turn hurts the New Orleans Saints' chances to go and draft that player. I still think that Arvell Reese would be an excellent fit for the New Orleans Saints. I think that would be a perfect draft pick for number 8 overall. But I also think that a player like Carnell Tate or Jeremiyah Love, Caleb Downs, you could also argue that those would be perfect selections as well. Now, who is your perfect pick at number 8 overall? Share your thoughts down in the comment section. Mailbag portion of this video, the live Q&A is about to start, but we got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. The big game, it's almost here. Only 3, 4, 5 games left of football in general. That sucks, man. And so you only have a limited time left to get in on the football action with Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use promo code CLNS. You'll get $50 instantly. in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. And if you miss your fantasy team, Prize Picks is the perfect substitution. I don't have to wait until next year's draft to keep playing fantasy. Prize Picks is the #1 fantasy sports app in the whole world, and you definitely should get in on the action. You can pick your favorite players more or less based on numerical projected stats, and if you get your picks right, you cash in and you can win real money in real time. And for the playoff matchups this upcoming weekend, I got a couple of fun ones. I'm going to take Jarrett Stidham to throw an interception. That's going to happen. Ramondre Stevenson, the more on his his rushing yards, Puka Nacua, I'm going to just take him to find the end zone once. And Sam Darnold, I think that might be a tough one, but I like to live dangerously. So I'm rolling with the more on all things because life's too short to project the less. If you want to fade these picks, if you want to tail the picks, don't care what you do, just make sure you do it with Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use promo code CLNS. You'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All that information is clickable down in the comments and description of this video. Shout out to Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. All right, Saints Guru. He's $5 super chat. First of all, thank you, my friend. Second of all, Saints will sign 5 offensive players in free agency, and for the first 3 rounds of the draft, it will be offensive players, full offense heavy. You know, I don't actually hate going offensive heavy in the NFL draft. Like, I think for the defense, most of the players you have on your roster, you will retain. Obviously, if there's decisions to be made about Alontae Taylor, but when it comes to the Saints, like signing an offensive guard, David Edwards, I think would be a really good addition to the Saints. Maybe you go and add a quarterback, you trade away one, you get like a cheap one on a cheap contract just as a backup. Maybe you sign another wide receiver. Maybe you look to add some more talent in the tight end room. There's a lot of options, but in the draft, I definitely think you should prioritize offense there in April as well. I don't know if they'll go full offense, signing 5 players and first 3 rounds, but I do think when it comes to the offense, that should be the main focus in building around Tyler Shuck and giving him the most tools to succeed. Appreciate your super chat, my friend. LSU guy, $2. Appreciate you, homie. I prayed to the Lord we get Jeremiyah Love in the draft. Like, Jeremiyah Love would be awesome in the Saints offense. Like, at the end of the day, you need somebody in round 1 that's going to make an immediate impact, and it's going to have the biggest impact. And when you talk about all of the positions in need, all of the weaknesses on this roster, I understand that there are a handful of them, but making that rushing attack in New Orleans improved needs to be a priority. Build in the trenches, get a game-breaking running back. I think that Jeremiyah Love would be awesome. Draft him. You have him on a rookie contract. That will be awesome to have over the next couple of years. And I do think that he would be really complimentary into Kellen Moore's offense and to Tyler Shuck. He'd be a safety blanket. I think he could open up the playbook. And I think Jeremiyah Love would be an excellent addition for the New Orleans Saints, #8 overall. And you also don't necessarily need to trade up for him. I don't think teams are going to be looking to draft a running back with a top 5-6 pick. All right, Stork. See what you got, brother. What's the point of using the 8th overall on a running back with no interior offensive line? Raiders did that last year, and look where they are. Well, the point is you can sign an interior offensive lineman. You have – okay, let's go offensive line here. Kelvin Banks, you're good. Left tackle, you're solid. You sign a player like David Edwards at the guard position. You have Eric McCoy. He just needs to stay healthy. You have Cesar Ruiz. He's frustrating. Maybe you cut him. Maybe you trade him. You maybe replace him. But then on the right tackle, you have Talise Fuaga. So what's the point? It's because you do have players there on the offensive line that you can work with. And Jeremiyah Love is a very, very interesting player that can turn nothing into something. Anytime the football is in his hands, if he's got the rock, he can take it to the house every single time. So I understand where the hesitation is of, well, you don't have an interior offensive line. We can't do that with a running back. Okay. So in March, let's add to the interior offensive line. And then in April, we have an offensive line, and you can take Jeremiyah Love. So there's your justification. Joe Payne, appreciate you, homie. Last time I can ask, moving to squats, he's still on the board, drafting talent and bringing in free. Last time I can ask, okay. Or am I on board for drafting talent and bringing in free agent O-line? Yes. Yes, Joe, that is 100% what I'm on board on. I would prefer to sign some players at the guard position. I wouldn't mind getting upgrades on both guard spots, but you definitely need to sign at least one guard and then use the draft to add weapons either offensively or defensively. I think that that's a very smart decision for the New Orleans Saints. But at the end of the day, I'm not the guy who runs the show. I'm just the guy who runs the YouTube show. So I think the Saints should sign players on the offensive line and then use their draft picks to add weapons. I love football. Case Swill, appreciate you, brother. Saints going to going to change my question if we don't get Love. How about Nick Singleton? We saw that Kellen Moore loves explosive big running backs. Do you think he can be a great round 4 steal? Nick Singleton, not knowing much about him off the top of my head, just full transparency. Penn State running back, 123 carries, 549 yards, 13 touchdowns, averaged 4.5 yards per carry last season for the Nittany Lions. 6 foot, 224 pounds. Some receiving ability, not a ton. 24 catches, 219 yards, 9.1 yards per catch, and a touchdown through the air last year. I think that if you don't go get Jeremiyah Love, there are other options. I'll throw Damon Claiborne into the mix as well. Jadarian Price is another option. There's a bunch of different players that you could go and add to the running back position. So when it comes to missing out on Jeremiyah Love, if you don't go and get him or somebody picks him beforehand, Nick Singleton, round 4, sure, why not? Tyler, I love Spencer Rattler, but I think we need to trade him while he still has some value and get what we can. No, I don't necessarily disagree. So the yin and yang of this conversation for Spencer Rattler trade, it's very interesting because on one hand you have a player that when you look just at the raw numbers, it's been okay. Only won one game, 5th round pick. Could definitely be a good backup. That's something that definitely could happen. On the other hand, you have a player that, maybe teams are like, oh, we could tap into it. We have a better situation in New Orleans. We just need something. We need a bridge quarterback. Maybe that's something that brings some interest. Ultimately, I don't think the Saints need to trade Spencer Rattler. I think they should consider it. Having a quality backup is important, and it is a very valuable role. But when it comes to the Saints, if you want to get something in return and somebody makes a call for a 4th and a 7th round pick, yeah, you should probably take that for Spencer Rattler. Chriselle, Trizzy Lopez, Ross Jackson brought up an interesting point of the Saints trading down in the middle rounds of the draft. What are your thoughts on that? Sure, why not? Sure, get extra capital, maybe an extra player or something, get some extra picks for next year. I think that when you talk about teams trading up and down, a lot of people hyper-focus on just round 1. When you talk about trading up or down in the middle rounds, I wouldn't be necessarily so keen on trading up. I don't mind getting a couple extra picks and trading back. That doesn't feel like a bad idea. Ross Jackson, smart guy, friend of the program. I agree with him. Denola Chop, if we miss out on Breece Hall, what are some other running backs we can target in free agency? All right, I'll give you a list of some guys that you could go and potentially sign in free agency. Travis Etienne is a really intriguing option. Rico Dowdle is definitely one to keep your eyes on. Tyler Algier. I know he's a Falcon, but that dude can run the damn rock. You want somebody who can pound the rock, that's the guy you go and sign. I know I'm missing a handful. We had a whole show that we did of this last week. You're good. Let me just come up with we did a whole video on this the other day, actually, so I should have more ideas. But my top 3 would be Breece Hall, Rico Dowdle. Also on top of that, Travis Etienne, Tyler Algier, J.K. Dobbins, Javonte Williams, Kenneth Gainwell. There's a couple other ones that you could potentially do. So when it comes to the running back position, don't go break the bank on the running back spot. Of course, if you sign Breece Hall, that eliminates Jeremiyah Love from the conversation. There's a lot of ways to go about it. So very, very fun question, very, very fun hypothetical to go away with. All righty, Isaiah, real one in the chat. Keep A.J. Brown away from my team. He is toxic. Saints fans, not necessarily stoked about the idea of trading for A.J. Brown. Obviously, there's familiarity there between A.J. Brown and head coach Kellen Moore, who did win a Super Bowl with A.J. Brown in New Orleans, actually. That could be an interesting player to bring in. I don't necessarily think the Saints should trade for A.J. Brown. I don't think I want to bring in the extra distractions and the expensive contracts. When it comes to the wide receiver position, I'd rather go and draft somebody like an Elijah Surratt. I think that would be a really, really fun wide receiver to bring in to complement Chris Olave and add another weapon for Tyler Shuck. A.J. Brown, there's no question about it. He's a great football player, but I think I'm with Isaiah on this one. I don't want him necessarily in New Orleans, and I think that they should just keep their hands off the phone when it comes to calling Howie Roseman on that one. My name is Trizzy Trace Gerard. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. We went through PFF's perfect draft pick for New Orleans at number 8, which was Arvell Reese, and then we had a good time answering questions in today's live show. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. My name's Trizzy for Loco Lopez. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.